Okay, let's go from this to this. All right, let's get into it. Your materials will be a 4-weight yarn of your color choice. Mannequin head, T-pins, clips, 3.5 millimeter hook, darning needles, scissors, pliers, felt sheets, stitch markers, plastic mesh canvas, an actual marker, an actual ball cap, spray adhesive, and a tiny sewing needle. To get to this point, I followed a tutorial by Lyza Walters for her stiffy cord baseball cap, and for the whole technique, I used Doe's Crafte do-it-yourself baseball cap technique. I just basically used the ball cap and I marked how wide the hole needed to be and how long it needed to be. And then I left those stitches unmarked as I worked my rounds. And then on the final round, I did the edging for the hole and that stretchy band there. I made it only about 4 stitches wide, working single crochet in a back loop. Then I traced and cut out the shape of the ball cap brim. I did it on the mesh sheet and on the plastic canvas mesh. Those do need to match up pretty good. And then from here, I centered everything. I centered the back on the mannequin, made sure, and then centered the front with the nose. And that very first row we made in the cap as a guide, and this dowel as a guide as well. And I found my center on the front. Be very meticulous about this part. Be very meticulous. Make sure everything's centered in front and back. There's my center stitch marker. And then I think I went 10 stitches each side, marked it with the red. And that's how I'm going to start the base of my brim. Then I attached into the second row up, or you can do the bottom row, doesn't matter, but attach your yarn with a slip stitch. And I worked about 21 double crochet across. And yeah, that should be about 21, 22. Doesn't have to be exact, but So I did 5 rows of those double crochets, and this is about what it should look like. You don't want to go all the way to the edge of that. All right, so then we're going to start with some white, and I attached with a slip stitch 1 stitch before where I did those doubles, and I started that round with a single crochet decrease. And then after that decrease, I single crocheted along the edges there, up into the corner. And in the corner, I placed 3 single crochet. And then just single crocheted all the way around the edge. And I finished that off with a single crochet decrease. So it would be the same as how I started it. And then after this, I went with the gray yarn and a half double crochet stitch. So 1 stitch before where the white started, a half double crochet in there to join that. And then you're just gonna work a half double crochet decrease there, and then a half double crochet in each stitch around. Do not put any increases in the corners for this half double crochet round, which will actually be 2 rounds altogether. You will finish this row with a half double crochet decrease and add another half double crochet at the end there to start for the next half double crochet row we have to do. So One more in there, chain one and turn. And then when you chain one and turn, you will do a half double decrease here. And then you will work a half double crochet back around and end with a half double decrease, and that's how it should look. But anywho, and then for this final round, I'm doing a crab stitch or a reverse single crochet stitch for the edging of the brim for the cap, because it hides the sewing, all the sewing you will need to do on the edge of the brim to the mesh and the felt. So you basically start from the left of the hat and work backwards. It's a single crochet, you're just working it backwards. There are plenty of tutorials on YouTube for this, so there's that. I don't want to go too deep into it. I had to get this thing done in under 10 minutes. But anywho, after you get your crab stitch done, you're going to need that tiny sewing needle. You're going to make sure that it can fit easily through that mesh. That's very important, and make sure it has a sharp point. All right, you're going to clip your crocheted brim and your mesh together. Stretch it. You should need to stretch that. Okay, the stretch is good because you don't want it to be a flat brim, so you do need a little stretch on there to help with the shaping. All right, and then you're basically going to do a whip stitch all the way around your edging. And that's just what I'm doing here. You can remove the clips as you go. And just a little bit more of the technique I'm using here. And you can see once you pull that tight, it looks just like the reverse crab stitch, which is why I like using that reverse crab stitch for the edging. If you've made it this far, thank you. We only got like less than 2 minutes left of this tutorial. All right, so you're gonna do that all the way around, and that's what it's gonna look like. And then you're gonna glue the felt on, spray it, go outside and do it, because that spray adhesive is toxic. It's not an indoor thing. Go outside and do it. Cover the cap that you don't want spray on with plastic. And then you're gonna take and you're gonna sew along all the edges again of your brim. This time you're going on the inside too, to secure that mesh canvas on the inside of it so it doesn't poke you in the head when you wear it. So again, with the whip stitch, all the way around the ball cap with that sewing needle again, and basically go into the same holes you already worked, and you know, your needle should slide through there pretty easy. That's what it should look like when it's done. And now pin it down the brim, put it back on the mannequin, pin it down the brim how you want it shaped, the curve you want in it. I use T-pins for this part, making sure it's centered and everything with the nose and the back, and you know, make sure everything's centered. Keep looking at it, eyeballing it. Then I use steam to shape my brim and to put my patches on. And ends. This is